Dave Baker, Jenny Dalton Hill, Carol Bruggeman back here for what they call the Big Blue Boo, and it's been a celebration of softball and all things Halloween. Sarah Schwartz is the director of ops here for like many things here, and normally when we see her, she's about to tell us we're getting shut down for a lightning delay. But young lady, you have done a marvelous, marvelous job on getting this all ready to go.
All right, we're good.
Oh, you good now, Sarah? I gave you this flowery introduction and everything.
Thanks so much, Dave. Himes is going to block me, so I'm good.
She is, right? Yeah. I mean, she got some TV time this week. Talk about what you've done here and all the people that pitch in to make this Big Blue Boo happen.
Yeah, it takes all of us, everyone from the sports video crew to sports turf to our operations staff and all the softball staff as well. Everyone plays a huge part in this, and without them, then we could not do this.
Well, and you walked around to all of these booths before the game. Do you have a favorite? Was there one that you wish you could have, participated in and stolen the candy from?
No, I'm all right personally, but I am excited for the 5th inning when we potentially do something out on the turf field behind the game.
Was that your idea?
I wish it was. I did volunteer some people, though, so I will take credit on that one.
Well, being in a leadership role, it's all about delegating, right? So
absolutely.
Well done. I just love what the grounds crew has done with the field, the big ghost in the outfield. You've got the orange and the blue coloring with the big boo on the sides. Who makes that decision? What actually gets painted on the field?
Yeah, I think Lawson has an idea, and then it comes to life from there. So we all live in Lawson's world is the best way. But Marcus Ellswick and his crew, Matthew Good, all of them kind of chip in and they make it happen and come up with a big design. Lawson has these characters she has created, and with those characters that she's created, they made all of them come to life out on the actual field.
So there's a base hit by Gabby Leach to lead things off for Tennessee in the top of inning number 3. Sarah, I think that one thing people would be surprised to find out is just how many hours these folks on the ground crew work, not only for this event, but just day in and day out.
Absolutely. Obviously, the dirt's got to be watered, the grass has got to be cut, whether it rains, snows in Lexington, someone's got to be around to take care of the field, so really can't do it without that crew.
Well, and what's one of the things that you struggle with in an event like this? It is the fall. This is an off season for softball. But when you have this many fans coming out to a facility in the off season, what are some of the hiccups that you have to make sure that you iron out before they come?
I think it's logistics. Obviously, we're not in season, so a lot of people are out of their normal rhythm. So for us, obviously, there's some of us that are working football and other sports. So we're prepared, but it's getting our staff in place, training some new folks and kind of getting ready for that regular softball season in March. But it's basically just making sure everything's tip-top shape as well, because we got a game to play on top of all the fall festivities as well.
Well, Sarah, this is the 4th version of the Big Blue Boo. 2 questions for you. Number one, just with your, just with the ballpark figure here, literally, do you believe this is the largest attended or the biggest crowd, number one? Number 2, we're wondering what your favorite Halloween candy is.
Yeah, so based on, I actually do know the current attendance, so
yes.
It is the largest, as we're at 1,985 currently. So we have hit we've outdone all of them, which is great. Every year it gets bigger. If you're gonna ask me about my candy, it's definitely Sour Patch Kids, because that's how my personality is, sour and sweet. So.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. I
Yep.
mean, let me ask you one other question, and I see your buddy there chuckling while she's standing there acting like she can't hear.
Oh, I know.
Do you have any real confidence that Coach Christine Himes, if there was a shot down that way, would jump in front of you like a Secret Service agent and make sure you were not harmed by a batted ball?
I have all full trust in Coach Himes to protect me, yes. She's got her glove ready to go.
She does have a glove on. That's awesome.
Yes.
Sarah, how many, we are curious up here, just really curious because there's so many young kids here today. It's so great to see them at the ballpark. Lots of smiles on their faces, lots of games to play, good softball to watch. But how much candy is in the ballpark right now? How much, where does that come from? And how much is here?
Yep, Coach Lawson makes her way to the stores each year. So that, a big part of it's from her and her crew. But I think they had around almost a little over a ton of candy. A lot is donated from Kroger as well. So a special shout out for their help on this event to make it so big.
She goes out, buys the candy?
Absolutely. There are 13,000 prizes out there. She's also bought that. Amazon's her best friend during this month.
I will say Kroger did step in this year and donated 30 boxes of candy for this event. So hopefully she didn't have to dip into her budget for the candy portion.
I'm wondering.
She said she started buying toys in July for this event.
Yes, our first meeting about this event was in August. And if you were wondering, I was not in softball mode in August, but I was forced to be.
I mean, we're always in softball mode. There's just no other place to be. But, Sarah, I'm just wondering, too, if Coach Lawson has a secret stash in said office, since she is the one buying the candy. Like, does she have a little secret stash? Give us the intel.
No, her stash is more so coffee, not the candy.
By the gallon.
Probably, yes.
Sarah, I said this jokingly earlier, but you are like the ops director for like everything, aren't you? This is not an exaggeration. You can see her at a volleyball match on Friday night. You can see her at Kroger Field on Saturday. You can see her at the softball field or over soccer on Sunday. And then you can see her having follow-up meetings about all of those events on Monday. So is there anything you don't do?
I try to stay away from a lot of things to have a social life, as I got a dog in April, so I try to take care of her a little bit, to not be at every athletic facility. But we all chip in. We have a great team that we get to work with, and it's a good time to be here.
That ball is fouled off. Sarah, thank you for your time. See, I know how excited you were to do this interview, but hopefully it was very painless, and we appreciate everything you and your staff do each and every week, especially today.
Yep, I appreciate you all three. Thanks for coming out and supporting this as well.
Thanks, Sarah. I mean, am I wrong, Jenny? Is she like everywhere?
No, every event that's happening on campus, you will find Sarah buzzing around. And luckily, she's out of her boot and off of her scooter. I mean, she was injured last year, and it seemed to take forever to heal.
That's because it broke once after she was in the boot.
I mean, she
re-broke the same ankle.
That shows you the tenacity and the kind of worker that she is, and Kentucky's grateful to have her.
So Hattigas gets the strikeout of Morgan, and now Fiedler up at the top of the order for the third time in as many innings. She was hit by a pitch, reached on an error, and has scored both times.
Really like Fiedler at the top of the lineup for Tennessee, and it'll be interesting to see if that continues in the spring. I feel like it will because of her skill set. I mean, she's an experienced hitter, and she's really that true triple threat. She can bunt, she can slap, she can swing away and hit it over the fence. So she's very difficult to defend. As a defender, you have to question, do we come in and take away the short game? Well, then we give her lots of holes to spray the ball. Do we play back? Well, right now, first and third behind the base, just one strike, she could still drop it down. And so it's just this constant challenge on defense. And when you have a busy mind on defense, when you're thinking a lot, you're not as quick on the field, and that's what Fiedler can do to you.
Hattigas now coming with the 2-2 pitch. Just missed outside. Nice location, but couldn't get Fiedler to chase.
And to the portal's point, that's exactly why the portal is so important. You never want to see players trade their loyalty for playing opportunities, but in this situation, Tennessee was looking, and they came away with a really dynamic leadoff hitter to replace the dominant Kiki Malloy from last year.
So Fiedler on base for the third time, and she has yet to have a hit. Little putt-putt going on out there. I mean, literally, there's something like every booth.
Now that's the game I would like to play. I love to, don't get to golf enough, but I love to play golf. And that's pretty tight hole there for the ball, though.
Well,
give it a shot.
To that conversation, Carol, so you asked us what our favorite candies are. I'm curious what you would grab out of the pumpkin as your prize if you were able to hit the ball in the mouth.
Well, I would not turn down any Halloween candy, first of all.
First
and foremost,
available.
Don't discriminate.
Let's make that just clear right from the get-go. I do not discriminate, number one. But I'm kind of on that, the candy corn, the little pumpkin marshmallow things.
Wow.
Like, people are either in or out with those things. I really do like the candy corn and all the different shapes. And, oddly, sometimes Peeps are kind of one of those other things that's people are in or
Look
out.
at that. My goodness. Yeah, everybody say, yes, there's no call, so she's safe. What happened was that ball was squibbed by Panel. It started out in foul territory and spun over into fair.
Well, and the crazy thing about this is it's a forced play at the plate. So all you have to do is shuffle that pass to the plate, and I thought that she maybe got it there before the slide happened. It did not require a tag. It was a forced play at the plate. I think it actually caught the home plate umpire by surprise as well.
And credit to the Tennessee offense there with Leach, not hesitating, just taking off. And you tell your players that all the time. We don't play umpire. Run it out, play it out, finish the play. If you got to go back, they'll bring you back. And a lot of times players do play umpire and I believe that's foul, or I'm not going to go, because no hesitation there from Leach. She took off right away and got the Vols another run.
And no disagreement from the Kentucky dugout.
Well, and there's no replay, so there's no need to argue it, but that will definitely be something that they talk about in practice. When you talk about Leach, maybe people remember the Aubrey Leach that played at Tennessee. So the younger sister now coming in, and so fast. That family, so many wheels.
The other thing is it shows the importance of, even if it does hit in foul ground, you got to be going hot and heavy in case something like that happens. It's a pretty off-speed pitch. And Boo Gibson got a little spin the wheel. Either get trick or treat, right?
Well, and it's such a fun event to come to, but as a parent, you better be aware your kid's going home with a lot of candy. And tomorrow's a school day.
Right.
So maybe don't let them consume it all while they sit and watch this great softball game. Yeah. Well, and you were talking about the candy corn and the candy pumpkins. Would that be considered seasonal fruit?
No. I'll tell you what is a lost art, though, is people that used to make the popcorn balls that they would give out. You just don't find many popcorn balls anymore, but they're still really, really good.
I don't know that I'm trusting a stranger to form my popcorn ball. I'll have to ask my mom to make it for me.
Wow.
I know.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's one of the most fearless hitters in the history of college softball.
Who knew her fear was popcorn?
I know, right?
No, her fear is not popcorn. Her fear is Granny who's making the popcorn.
Hansel and Gretel, did you not know the story? Come on.
Wow.
Gotta be careful out there.
They asked for help down there.
Now, with bases loaded, though, it's hard to get an accurate call on that because you're in a three-person.
I get that. So the first base umpire's in a hole there at second, and then he looks down to the third base umpire, and the third base umpire can't possibly see that, right?
No chance.
That ball, boy, that was trouble, but that's nicely played out there and left by Mitchell. Tennessee extends the lead. It's 6.
The NCAA tournament is just a part of the story for her. The rest of it is getting to the College World Series and doing all the different things that she does for Kentucky. She understands how important athletics is to our community. She's a big part of our community, and not the least of which she has done some incredible things in helping young women become incredible leaders in this area. They stay here, they work here, and they are a big part of the fabric of the University of Kentucky.
And Mitch, she certainly does that, but I think one of the biggest reasons is she follows your lead. I remember one of the very first conversations we had when you became athletics director we had head coaches in Olympic sports that weren't full-time employees, that didn't have health coverage, and yet they were being expected to succeed at the highest level. There's a leadoff single from Allie Bloom, but you put the pieces in place. That was one of the very first things you did.
Well, we did, but it starts at the very, very top. And we had a president, Lee Todd, who said that was important to him. He wanted all people to be able to participate in college athletics, not just our men's basketball program and our football program. We know how it all works. Those pieces have to be fundamentally sound, and to put those, all the other financial pieces and resources in place. But Dr. Todd said that's going to be an important part of my leadership here at the University of Kentucky. And so for 10 years I worked under a fabulous president, Lee Todd, and then along came Eli Capilouto, and he has been absolutely outstanding in terms of continuing that mission for college athletics. And we're going through a transformational time in college athletics.
Yes, you are.
And it's really difficult. And what is most important to all of us on staff is that we make sure that we keep generational opportunity alive. We keep generational finance for these young people to be able to begin to establish themselves in their lives. And then the third piece is we're trying to create generational leaders, and I want to make sure that we do that effectively well. And so don't want to lose that for all the transformation that happens. And all of it is there's fundamentally some things that are very, very good about it. We have got to get it right.
Well, and the cool thing is some numbers came out this past week about softball in general, about the viewership and the popularity of the sport and how it's been growing.
Yeah, so I actually we're working with the Southeastern Conference, and we've obviously done so much on the SEC network to promote all of our sports. And so we were looking at minutes watched over a 5-year stretch from like 17 through 22. We haven't got the figures come in a little bit later as you go. Softball had 2.4 billion minutes watched in that 5-year period of time.
Wow.
That's a lot of minutes. It was fourth of all the sports that the SEC network was covering, behind football, obviously football, men's basketball, and then you had women's basketball,
right,
and softball, and then just below that was baseball. And I say that because we've got a lot of minutes watched for all of our sports programs. But when you think about, and obviously you've got a lot of games you're playing, but when you've got a sport that is doing 2.4 billion minutes watched,
right,
that is a significant number.
Absolutely. So the Wildcats now here in the home half of the third inning. First two runners on, and Mackenzie Bump trying to get somebody in. You talked about that work with the Southeastern Conference. Not only have you led this athletic department so well, but you chaired the D1 basketball committee during COVID. Mm-hmm. You were on the men's college playoff football committee as that bunt is laid down, and that'll advance both runners. And she beat it out at first. So Mackenzie Bump trying to sacrifice, and she turns it into a base hit. And the bases are loaded with nobody out. But to speak to that, you're now the dean of folks in the Southeastern Conference, and during this transformational time, there are a lot of people that come to you looking for your leadership and your advice.
Well, I think that this is a time where, having a lot of voices talking together is important as best we can without colluding and getting ourselves in all sorts of trouble.
Right.
But we have to find a way to a pathway forward. And so it's been an honor to hold this position for a number of years, and thankful for that. Had two great commissioners. I've worked with Mike Slive, who's passed away a little bit ago, and Greg Sankey, who's a dear friend of mine. The network is 10 years old. We had a chance to launch that. It's 10 years old this year, which is really amazing. You look at all the things that have happened in college athletics, and so when I saw my good friend Scott Strickland last night down in Gainesville,
right,
and that was it was great to see him, and so we have an opportunity to visit about hey, what's best about college athletics. What are we trying to preserve? What do we want to do to step forward? How do we make sure that we do those things? So it's not, I think change is going to come. The question is, how do you address change? Is it a steroid injection that just eases the pain for a bit?
Right. Or
is it something that gives you a chance to sustain an 8 to 10 to 15 year couple generations of athletes coming through before you have to adjust again? And I'm hopeful that that's where we get, that we're not in this position of just saying, okay, we're going to do this really quick fix, because that'll solve it, and that'll put a Band-Aid on it for just a bit. We don't want to do that. What we want to do is make sure that we've got something that that spans the test of time and gives us a little bit of opportunity to grow a little bit.
So Reesner's liner to center, great play out there by Fiedler, but it turns into a sack fly as Allie Bloom tags and scores and gets the Wildcats on the board. So you've got all these guys out there. You talked about Scott. You have got Mark Coyle out there. You have got Greg Byrne down at Alabama. You've got Rob Mullins out at Oregon. Those guys. Oh, I forgot about Peavy up at DePaul. I don't think about him because they don't have football, but your guys surely don't ever disagree with you in any of these meetings where you're trying to decide things, do they?
Yeah, so you got Cohen at Auburn.
Oh, gosh, I forgot about that.
And we got Saul at Kevin Saul at Wichita State.
Wichita State, that's right.
Those are my guys. If they vote against me, it's really frustrating. We don't talk for a week.
For an hour or so.
It's ridiculous, you know. Yeah, these are really hard conversations we're having. We do. We get along fabulously well. We don't always
It's a great
agree.
group.
You know, it's interesting. I always have I told the commissioner, said it's fascinating when your seat changes from place to place. Like, you know, one of these guys changes from one AD chair to a different school. Your vote changed. All of a sudden, I said, "You're voting differently."
That's
than you did over
exactly
there.
right.
What in the world? Because wherever your seat is landed is where you find yourself voting. I said, "All right, I got you."
Situational awareness.
That's right. That's right.
Well, and you also talked, Mr. Barnhart, about generational, how you try to affect generations, but you also are such a good leader. What is it that you see in this softball program that has built leaders, and how has Rachel Lawson been able to build that in her program?
Well, first off, I think what Rachel has done from the very beginning is she is self-made. You know, I say that, and she would deny that because that's as humble as she is. But Rachel was self-made. She came from a very large family and out west, and she went to UMass, and she found a way to grab a softball scholarship and get her bachelor's degree, and then she began her coaching career, and she just worked. And I think she is a great example to young women about how to build your life, and she has done that. She has built her career, she has built programs, and she has built young women, and I think that's what she does just fabulously well. And so I think that's why this program has excelled in so many ways. We haven't won everything every year, but you look at the wall, and the wall's pretty impressive. I don't know how many years in a row we got going. It's pretty good. And then you've got the Super Regionals over here, and somewhere there's the College World Series out there on the wall. And a lot of people would love to be able to say they've accomplished what she's accomplished here. And you do it in an environment what I would say is arguably not a weather-favorable climate for softball.
Correct.
We play many a game when there's sleet and snow coming across the field, and it's cold, and you're down there in parkas, and there's 100 people in the stands. You know, I get it. And but so thankful that we've got somebody like Rachel that leads our program and continues to guide women. We live out in Frankfort, Kentucky, and we go to Midway for time. And we've got a softball player, Rachel Riley, who's got a dental practice that she has out in Midway that just services I think just some of the folks in the equine industry.
Yep.
Just incredible. Just those are the kind of things I remember Megan All, who she's got a dental practice out in Owensboro, Kentucky. And so you sit here and you watch some of our people. Megan Prince was back, somebody said today, and they said she moved back there. So it's great to see alumni. Number one, they want to come back and be around good people, and that speaks to Rachel Lawson.
Absolutely. And I think it speaks all the way through your program. I mean, it's, everybody has got a different life story. But there are so many. Obviously, you've produced a number of great athletes that have played professionally, but then you've just also, like you said, you could go down the list of the sports, the numbers of people that have gone through here as student athletes that are now leaders in our communities, and certainly softball folks as well.
Oh, absolutely. And we're looking at the screen right there that's got the All-Americans on it, and you've got Molly Johnson and Kelsey Nunley and Kayla Kowalik and Abby Cheek and Katie Reed, just to name a few.
Right.
I may have missed one. I probably missed one in there somewhere. So Erin Koffel, the latest one of all,
right?
Who, the home run queen of our deal here, and it's just been it's a great environment, and I'm thankful that we've got a good leader in our program. And I think the really cool thing is to watch our head coaches and the way they come along. Rachel and Coach Minge talk all the time, our baseball coach.
Yep.
They talk all the time. And it's obviously the sports are similar, but they're different. But they talk about locker rooms and how you grow the culture and what you try and do. And they've learned off each other really, really well, which I think is really cool. I don't see that in a lot of departments. You don't see that. You see a lot of animosity or so I want mine before you get yours, and that's not what this is about. They've been tremendous in taking care of one another.
So now Hamilton hit by a pitch with the bases loaded. You saw Hutchins come in, and the Wildcats have cut the lead to 4.
From the homer's perspective, we're going to try and go yard and tie this up here.
My guess is if they do, you're not going to want to leave the booth.
I'm right here.
Or they're not going to want you to leave the
We may
booth.
have you the rest of the game.
And here's Madison Clark stepping in. Clark, another one of the transfers from Oregon State. Junior from Claremont, California. As the bags are juiced and 2 outs. That's going to be a tough play now. There you go. Didn't think it was going to be that tough. But that little grounder is going to produce 2 runs. And all of a sudden, the Tennessee lead has been cut to 2.
Well, maybe Lawson's going to tell you have to stay up here in the booth.
she might make me travel with him or something. I don't know. We'll have to see.
Well, and defensively, you've got to be aggressive on this ball. And so the third baseman coming over, Gibson trying to grab that ball, nips it enough to be able to just push it out of the way of the shortstop, Maylard. That's one of those plays that you have to be aggressive to. And if you aren't aggressive, then it'll eat you up. But sometimes being aggressive will give you that tipped leather that will produce some runs, and because of that, we're going to see a change in the circle, Buzz.
Aaron Newer is out. Mitch, thank you so much for everything you do. Thanks for taking the time. I know when you get a little bit of time like today, you're here with the family, and we so appreciate you being here with us.
That was a late night getting in, but from a disappointing night in Gainesville, and that was we were certainly disappointed in how we played and the result for our football program. Where we've got some work to do to get back where we want to be, but. Again, we've got a lot of good things going on, not the least of which is going on. It's an absolutely incredible day. Literally thousands of people in the ballpark today, and so I'm glad everybody had a chance to enjoy the fellowship of the season and some really some great young athletes out here and some coaches that put some really good products on the field.
We've asked everybody this question.
Yeah.
Favorite Halloween candy?
Scott, it's probably. Am I supposed to talk about a product? You know,
you can.
So it's probably either Almond Joys or Reese's Peanut Butter Cups. I got a grandson, Reese. I better throw that in there. So
I got you.
Anyway,
thanks, Mitch. Really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
My pleasure.
UK Athletics Director Mitch Barnhart done such an awesome job with this entire athletics program and recognized as one of the leaders in college athletics around the country. And so we take a look now at Peyton Tanner, who is coming to pitch. We appreciate Mitch being here. And while all that's happened, the Cats have gotten themselves back into this game, ladies.
I fully expected him to stay in the booth, knowing the way that superstitions kind of work, and if things are going well, you don't move. But he does exit the booth, and perhaps that'll change the tide for Kentucky. That's exactly what Tennessee is hoping as they put Peyton Tanner in the circle, the young freshman.
Kind of a tough luck sort of day, I would say, for Newer. She goes 2 2/3, gives up 3 hits, 4 runs, 2 were earned. She struck out 3, walked 2. 62 pitches, and she's responsible for everybody who is still on the bag. So just a reset. Hamilton is at second. Clark is at first. And Delaney Sullivan behind in the count 0-1. Sullivan trying to go the opposite way, and this is the first time, maybe the last time we have to mention it today, but for those of you who've not been with us, the sun goes down behind the first base dugout, and out in left field, Taylor is fighting that sun hard out there where Sullivan is trying to go.
Well, and for the second time in this game, you've got Sullivan in a really tight situation, needing to put the ball in play. Last time up, watched a changeup away for a looking strikeout to end the inning. Now an opportunity with runners at first and second, needing to punch this ball through the infield.
And there's that squiver she was looking for. Christine Himes started waving Hamilton home and then quickly put on the brakes. And now she put on the brakes because you go back to the top of the order, right?
Well, it's not many times. I mean, Kentucky, we talked about it earlier. We saw three quick outs. In this inning, they've now batted around, and that's exactly what they needed to do. And down 6-0, you want to see what your team's going to do. Yes, it's the fall, but you want to show that fight. You want to show that ability to compete, and we've seen that from Kentucky. And, you know, nothing says fall softball, though. I do have to admit, when you look up and you see 7 errors on the scoreboard, and we're not even through 3 innings, I mean, that is something we do not see quite a bit in the spring. But again, a lot of people out of position, playing new positions, new combinations.
Right.
And you think, yeah, these players have played softball forever. It's catch and throw. But, you know, when you have to make decisions, the speed of the game is faster for these freshmen. I mean, it's no surprise that we've got 10 runs scored here and we're not even through 3 innings.
Well, and you think about that play that just happened over there at third base, not in the last at bat, but against Hallie Mitchell, when it tips off of a glove. That's all about distances, right? And when you can trust, when you know your shortstop as a third baseman, you know your distances. In that situation, it looked as though Mailer had an opportunity to come away with that ball, but they're still getting to know each other over there on the left side. And so distances and timings and defensive sets all still coming together.
Bloom hits one deep to left center, and that's the second great play that we've seen today from Fiedler. She is everything that she has been advertised, and that was a huge play. Inning is over, but not before the Cats get 4 runs on 3 hits, 1 error. They leave 3 on base, and after being down a bunch, Kentucky now trails by 2. Boss Mitch Barnhart comes up here to the booth, and they get a 4 spot. That is excellent timing, Coach.
Thanks. I don't know why you're not talking to him still. That would so if he's the good luck charm, I don't know why you're talking to me right now.
Well, and to that point, Coach, it was actually after he left the booth that the outs were recorded. So it's definitely on him, and you're going to need to talk to him.
Okay.
I know the play is the main thing, but this deal that you have put on, I mean, this is, I've said this before, I sound like an old guy, but this is such a cool thing.
Yeah, it really is. You know, the fact that the BBN shows out for the event, it's an awesome event. That fact that Tennessee is willing to come play us in this environment in the off season really says a lot about their character as well. But it's just a really cool atmosphere for everybody in Lexington and for my team. Oh my God. Yeah. So anyways.
Meanwhile,
on the softball field.
Back at the ranch.
Yeah. I'm not going to say this has been our best game, but, you know, it does definitely give me a lot of tape and a lot of things to talk about and work on in the offseason.
In terms of that, Rachel, I mean, how far along are you? Is this your no, you've got one more. But have you seen enough so far here in the fall to know what you want to do with the lineup in the spring?
Yeah, no question. You know, right now, some of the mistakes are kind of on me because I've mixed the defense up quite a bit and they haven't settled in. We have an entirely new infield, so that's something. And, you know, Borzilauris are, you know, everyday first basemen, so that's why you're seeing a little bit of mistakes over there. You know, Hutch plays some third base and stuff like that, but we're just trying to really figure out. We have a couple elite hitters that we're trying to figure out where to put them and where everybody plays their secondary position the best.
Well, and when you look at this event, it has grown. This is the 4th year of Big Blue Boo, but I think you need to give some attention to some of the biggest help that you get, and that's from Terry Johnson and Crystal Belcher.
Oh yeah, no question. The Mom Squad. So it's Molly's, Coach Molly's mother and her mother-in-law. This is a lot of this brainchild is theirs with me. So we would start working on things right away, and then they come in and they make things happen. But we have a lot of help now. If you look at all the lime green shirts going on everywhere, so the athletic department's really bought in as well. So it's a total family effort. It's a community effort. It's everybody in the BBN. I don't have enough time to thank everybody that works on this event, but it's really cool. It means a lot to me.
Did I hear that you go out and buy a lot of this stuff too?
Yes. So the toys and all that. Kroger donates the candy, so I think that's really cool that Kroger chips in. But yeah, a lot of the expense does come from me.
Well, Rachel, I'm noticing the shirt, the swag you got on.
You like that?
When I walked in the door, I saw Brittany Cervantes and said, that's a really cool shirt. And I said, who designed that? And you have your hands all over this thing, literally, because she's like, that was Coach Lawson's idea. So I'm impressed with your graphic design.
No, so I have Kim Troxel, who's part of our graphic design team, has actually been designing our Halloween T-shirts since. This used to be a practice, and it blew up into this event. So she's been doing it forever. So that's all her, all the designs. When you see the really cool graphics and everything, she's the one. I just say, hey, can we do whatever, and she makes it come to life.
Well, you need to know that Cervantes gave you credit. So A, that's A. But B, we've been asking everyone the most important question of the day, and that is, what is your favorite Halloween candy?
I like just plain chocolate. I am, as boring as they come, but I don't want anything in it. I want chocolate, and I love milk. So,
that's the only thing that goes with coffee, right?
Yeah, that's true. I do
your
drink
major food group.
I do drink a lot of coffee. But although I've really gotten into those nerd things that, it's like gummy on the inside.
Nerd clusters?
Well, yeah, nerd clusters. Is that what that is? That I got to be honest with you, I have gotten into that when I'm driving recruiting.
I'm not going to lie. Those are my those are
pretty
a
good.
Guilty pleasure. Those are good things.
Yes, they're awesome. They don't make me sick either, which is great. Usually candy, I'm like, too much. That I could just all day. So
Well, there'll be a lot of that happens here tomorrow, and that's going to get the run in. It's a hot shot off the glove of Bump. And that's just another example of what you're talking about, Rachel. I know you've been working Bump a lot at second. She moves back over to third, and it's just kind of a totally different feel.
Well, she is a natural third baseman.
Right.
That's part of the thing that we got going. She's very good. She's an elite player. So is Hutch. So we're trying to, you want both of them in the lineup. So I'm trying to figure out where they're the most comfortable. Right now, they're not very comfortable, so that's not really helping our cause. But, we have all winter to figure it out. The other thing is they're good teammates. They'll do what they need to do. So right now, I don't think this is indicative of the defense we're going to put out in February, but it is good to see what we need to work on.
I don't think we've had a chance to ask you yet. We talked to Karen a little bit. She was not terribly pleased with some of the road games she got in the conference this year. How do you feel about the road that you all will travel?
Oh, I don't think about it a lot, honestly. The thing that's so tough about our road schedule this year is all 4 trips that we have that are away are flights. So, you want to play Tennessee in the regular season because it's a huge rival between Tennessee and Kentucky. You want to be able to drive places, that sort of thing. But, it's an unbalanced schedule no matter how you look at it. It's unbalanced every year. And with the power of the SEC, it's really the luck of the draw.
Well, and everybody says it just means more, but what does the addition of Oklahoma and Texas do to this league this year?
Oh, it does everything. There's only a couple other teams in the country that, if you were to bring them in, you might as well have the World Series in the SEC. So, it means a lot. The other thing that happens is, and I believe this is going to happen for the SEC, is we're going to elevate. Oklahoma is clearly the team that needs to be knocked off. Texas is a very good team as well, but just them coming in the league and us seeing them every single day, not just in the postseason, but seeing them week in and week out, seeing what they do recruiting, doing all the things that we have to do in league, I think it's going to elevate the SEC even more than we are now.
Well, Coach, you've had it just year after year after year. You just get to the postseason, different types of teams, different personnel. You always find a way there. When you look at last year and you look at reloading now, your team, a few transfers, some freshmen, a lot of new position players, what is your biggest challenge as you look ahead, and what would you like to see from your team as you head into February and setting the tone for the season?
Well, I had to do some changes. I had to change the way I coach. I had to change the way I recruit. I'm very loyal. I'm, kind of true blue in that way. And so, the transfer portal and all that sort of stuff, it was, I had to come to peace with things like that. We had to size up, I'll be honest with you. Now, we do have some players on our team that aren't quite, 6 feet tall, but pound for pound, they're very strong. So we're going to continue to work in the weight room and stay strong. But more importantly, you got to clean up the defense. I know the home runs and the big hits, that's what you see on TV. But the score would not be 7-4 if both of us were playing good defense. We would be a lot further along than the fourth inning or third inning, whatever we're in. And so you got to tighten that up. You've got to make sure. And I think we're coming out here a little bit timid. Now, that's understandable because we're a little bit younger, and just about everybody on my team is new out on the infield. So this is their first big environment that they've played in, which I'm very thankful that the crowd showed out tonight, because this really shows, it's good for us to get in front of this type of atmosphere before we go out in February. But we got to get a lot better on defense. We got to get a lot tougher. We got to bring the energy in, and we got to start trusting ourselves. We need to, have some confidence, get some wins in the off season in terms of just the way we do things. And then we need to come out in February guns a-blazing.
Rachel, the other thing that a lot of people talk about is no matter what the sport is, coaches believe that some of their best teams are the ones that are player-led teams.
Oh, yeah.
And you've had some unbelievable leaders here that not only did it with their play, as that ball is hit over to the right side. But we'll have to continue this at another time as the inning's over. But I know you're looking for leaders to step up.
Oh, yeah, no question. And here's the thing about, I love our team.
Yeah.
Their attitude is great, their work ethic, they bring that stuff every day. And they are leaders. I mean, they're leaders in life, they're leaders academically, they're exceptional, they're leaders in the classroom. I just think right now, and I think they will be leaders on the softball field, but no question, people have to stand up, step up, be comfortable, telling people what's up, which we're doing that a little bit, but we're just very nice. And we just got to get comfortable, a little confidence. And I have no doubt that I've got a lot of leaders in this dugout. I'm looking forward to when they, reach their, get up to their potential, who they're meant to be.
Absolutely. And we're looking forward to you stepping up later in this game. We don't want folks to go anywhere. See you, Rachel.
See ya.
Take care. Bye-bye. UK's Rachel Lawson. It's 7-4, Tennessee. Bottom of the fourth at John Kropp Stadium. Kentucky has cut a 6-run Tennessee lead down to 3. The Lady Vols lead it 7-4 here in the home half of the fourth inning. Head coach Karen Weekly, kind enough to join us from down there in the dugout. And Karen, your young ladies were really barreling it up at the start of this game.
Yeah, I thought we had some really good at-bats, and it was nice to get off to a fast start. We got freshmen throwing for us, so that should have settled them down a little bit to, go out there with runs on the board.
Well, and what's this matchup like for you guys in the fall? Very rarely do you get to have an SEC opponent this early in a season for a team.
Yeah, it's awesome to be able to, play another SEC team, and it works because we're so close together. You can't travel that far in the fall, but anytime that, we're not on each other's schedule, Rachel and I have agreed to do this, and what a cool atmosphere and environment, the Big Boo game, and everything that Rachel and her staff and her team do to put this on and make it a really fun event for families and kids. And they've drawn an amazing crowd, so I know 70 degrees really helps too.
Yeah, absolutely,
It
right?
sure does. And Coach, just such an amazing accomplishment, back-to-back SEC championships. How much do you talk about that with your current team? Obviously, some of the players on the field were a part of that every day, but you got a lot of new players as well. And how much do you talk about that as you go into this season and really use that momentum heading into the 25 season?
It's a point of pride, and all the credit goes to the players because this is a tough league. No question the toughest league in the country. And I think what you do over a 24-game schedule really speaks volumes about your team and not just the talent, but how they show up every day and how they work in the fall to prepare themselves, but then also how they show up every weekend because the SEC is a grind and it can really wear you down physically and mentally. And, we've had great leadership these last couple of years, and they just come, ready to play every day. And, we still got one over there at third base in Boo Gibson, and she's doing some really awesome things, leading this team and building up other leaders for us as well.
And we just saw Mackenzie bump.
And I want to know where that pitch was. You guys saw it.
It was not over the plate.
Oh, Carol.
Was it in the batter's box?
It might have had a little water in the river.
Yeah, she crowds the plate, and I proposed a rule change that we need to make those hitters get out of the way because it's just a strategy. Take advantage of it, toe it up, and if you're towing it up, I'm telling you, your elbow to your fingertips is going to be outside the batter's box. So
Carol was able to spy you earlier in the game using the headset signal and realizing we didn't have replay today.
Yeah.
I loved it. I would have replayed that too.
Oh, yeah. I thought she might have got in there. It's certainly one that we would have gone to replay on.
Oh, my gosh. Coach, let me ask you this.
Can I yell at the umpires?
Yeah,
while I'm
please,
on
go
here?
ahead.
Yes.
Go ahead. No, seriously.
Just keep it clean if you don't mind.
Yeah, I will.
Meantime, back at the ranch, we were talking about the fact, and you have talked about this, you've always had playmakers. You were just talking about Boo, and Fiedler has made some big-time plays here today, both with the bat and out in the field.
Oh, she's special. She is really special. And, she was a product of the early recruiting. I think she committed 8th, 9th grade or something like that.
Wow.
So she's a player I didn't really watch that much in travel ball because she was off the board so early. Really just knew her more by reputation. And she's so much better than I even had a clue. And that's nothing against her. That's on me. But she's a leader. She's a competitor. She's got a swagger about her. And she has just locked down center field. A big question mark coming into the season was who's going to play center field and lead off for us.
Right.
Because, we've had Kiki Malloy in that spot for 4+ years, counting the COVID year. And Kinsey just, 1 week, 2 weeks into practice, it was a no-brainer. And I just really love her game and love what she's doing for us.
Yeah, she's a lot of fun to watch, just even in the fall, just competing like a championship's on the line.
Whoa.
Go ahead.
Hang on.
Go ahead.
Hey, she's not leaving the plane. She's not leaving the plane. No, she's not. Her heel's still in contact. Come on.
Sorry.
No, you're
You
spot
don't
on.
need to be sorry. That was really good.
No, that is spot on because that definitely needs to be addressed. She is not leaving the plate.
She's not leaving the plane of the rubber.
Nope,
No.
she is not. The heel does come up, but that is
Yeah.
not against the rules.
Yeah.
Well, shifting gears a little bit, since this is the Big Blue Boo, we have been asking everyone we've had on headset, and we've had Mitch Barnhart here. We've had the director of the operations of this event, Coach Lawson. We're going to ask you the same question. What is your favorite Halloween candy, Coach Weekly?
Oh, I'm a peanut butter cup kind of gal.
Yes.
But,
Yep.
it used to, and I still love Reese's, but now I've discovered these things at Trader Joe's where it's dark chocolate with peanut butter in the
yes,
middle of the cup.
yes.
And that is, that's not just a Halloween candy. That's a year-round candy at our house.
Right?
Yeah.
So now you're so busy during the season, and what's it been? Is it 2 years that Ralph had mid-coaching, or am I?
This is year 4 that
Year
I'm
4.
entering. Yeah.
So do you send him out to do all these errands and everything while you're working now?
Okay, the man loves Costco, loves Trader Joe's. He's the shopper in the family. If it was up to him, we'd go shopping every off day. He can hang out at a mall. He can go to outlet malls. The girls love it because whenever he's along, they know we're stopping to shop somewhere. I can't stand it. Yeah, it's a role reversal. I'm the one sitting on a bench while he's trying on clothes.
Well, and Coach Weekly, you mentioned it's the 4th year that he's out. It was actually year 1 of Big Blue Boo that he was not coaching. He was up here in the booth talking with us. So you've had changes again in your coaching staff this past year. So with the departure of Chris Malveaux, you've brought in another husband-wife combination. Introduce us to those new coaches.
Yeah, really fortunate that Craig Snyder was available, because he was a great assistant coach for years, hitting coach at Florida State, when they made their national championship run in 2018. Was there for 8 years. Then he went over to Texas A&M, did a really nice job there with Joe Evans, and then got the head job at Texas Tech. And, it's rare that you see somebody, hang on, I got to watch this play here.
No.
Get behind it. Oh, come on. We can do better than that.
And that's a sacrifice fly that gets bumped home. And remember, she reached as a result of hit by pitch.
Yep.
And that cuts the score to 7-5.
Yeah. Well, it's been a bit of a messy game on both sides. They kind of started off that way, and I guess it got contagious, and we decided to follow suit there in the bottom of the 3rd. But, that's okay. It's putting us in some situations that are helping us grow. But anyway, back to Craig. It's not often that someone who has head coaching experiences wants to, look at going back to being an assistant coach, and it was really just the perfect fit for all of us. It gets him closer to home. He was raised in Franklin, Kentucky, and that's where his family still is. And his wife, Stephanie, they just got married in June, and she's from Lima, Ohio. So it got them both closer to home. And the cool thing is, we needed a hitting coach, but then we also needed somebody to do the catching in the outfield. And it was just a perfect fit that was Stephanie's niche as well. So, people might think I just look to hire husbands and wives, and I don't. Especially the women, I'm like, I know me, I wouldn't have wanted to get hired because of a spouse. I want to be able to stand on my own 2 feet.
Sure.
So I'm going to hire women that I know can stand on their own 2 feet, and Stephanie Sanders certainly can.
Well, and I think the thing about it too, Karen, is obviously great players and great people have been attracted to your program for the time that you have been there. And so it's not a surprise that great coaches are attracted there as well.
Well, thank you. That's a very nice compliment. I like to think we have a culture that people want to be a part of. We have a lot of fun. We work hard, but we celebrate along the way. Every small accomplishment, big accomplishment, whatever it is, we want to have fun while we're doing it. So, yeah, we've been able to get some really good people in this program, and it is all about the players. Yeah, there we go.
I mean, that was the biggest roar from the crowd. I was just going to say, we might have a balloon delay here, but
Panel's got some hops.
I know.
To
She's
the
like
rescue.
the shortest one in the infield out there, and she jumps up and gets the balloons. Yeah.
Please ask her if she's ever had to get balloons off the softball field, ever in a softball game. But we talk a lot about the SEC, and it's so much fun to have both these teams, both your team and Kentucky in a fall game. But we've got 2 new kids on the block coming in Texas and Oklahoma. Just your thoughts on that heading into 25 season.
The strongest conference just got stronger. I think Texas will come out the gate ranked number 1. They should, based upon what they did last year. And, people are talking about the class OU graduated, but they just reload, So they're both going to come in and make a lot of noise in the SEC. But, I don't think it's going to be different for any of us because, we're still only going to play 8 opponents. And I really don't even think you can look at your schedule and say, oh, we've got a strong one or not a strong one, because when you're sending every team in your conference to postseason play, every schedule's strong. I think the difference might be for those 2 coming in, knowing that every weekend in SEC play, they're playing a NCAA team.
Well, and the other thing as well about all of that, Karen, is, nobody talks smack, especially coaches, but I mean, you guys have got a really good thing going here in the SEC in general, and they've got to come in and show that they can compete in this conference, and it's different than the conference they were in.
Well, it's just different because, what we talked about right off the bat with our team winning those back-to-back championships, that week in, week out physical and mental grind. And it doesn't matter how talented you are, that can really get to you. And I think that's what's going to be so different is, there's just no gimmies. And to be able to play through that emotionally, to hope that you stay healthy enough to play through that as well. But you're right, it is just very different. And, this league does things different. I mean, it really does just mean more. And that starts with the commissioner on down. And they're first class all the way, everything we do in this conference.
Well, Coach, you've been at Tennessee for 24 seasons. You've seen how the game has changed and evolved and grown. What is it that has maybe changed the most, or the hat that you wear now as coach?
Well, I think it's 2 things. Technology, which you hear people say that a lot, but, there's just so many more ways to watch your opponents and prepare for them. And then the second thing is the size of our staffs and our rosters. I've got 25 young women on this roster, and heck, probably a staff of 10 or 12. I don't know. I mean, they're just a lot. Everybody's got 4 managers, and you've got your director of ops, and, your analytics and your player development and your full coaching staff. And that, in addition to your athletic trainer, your weights coach, there's just a lot of people that are helping these student athletes become the very best version of themselves. I have found for me that transition from co-head coach to head coach, obviously I took on more of the global things in the program that Ralph might have done before, but also staffs grew at about that time. And they've grown quite a bit in the last 5 years. So a lot of my job right now is managing people and helping people you know, do their job to the best of their ability and putting them in positions to be successful. I don't get to do the one-on-one coaching, technique coaching in all phases of the game like I used to, but I've got some really good people doing that.
Coach, what have you been most impressed with this team this fall?
You know, we did not have what I would call a bad practice from just a mental standpoint until earlier this week. And I truly believe it's because it was a week where we just had a lot of exams and a lot of things going on, and I've got a really academically motivated team. And that's what impressed me so much is they just came to work every day. We are young, we have a lot of depth, but we're pretty inexperienced with our depth. But they've just been working really hard, and to have a group this young, to not really have a mental lapse until your 5th week of fall ball, that says a lot about them.
Karen, thank you so much for your time. It's always great visiting with you. You're always so gracious with your time, and tell Ralph to make sure to look for the sales items at Costco.
I will. Thank you all.
Thanks,
Appreciate
Karen.
you.
Take care. Alexia Lacatena misses inside the panel.
It's been fun to watch the evolution of Lacatena in the circle. She came in with high hopes her freshman season, coming off of an Olympic appearance for Italy. And as she has thrown behind some really big arms here at Kentucky, she has struggled to make those constant improvements year to year. But it's neat to see her having success here in this fall game against Tennessee.
Taylor Panel, 3 for 3 with 2 RBIs, singled in the first, doubled in the second, singled in the third. Tennessee with 7 runs on 9 hits and 2 errors. That ball's fouled back. In Kentucky, what about this line? When did you think you'd ever see 5 runs, 4 hits, 6 errors, 7 left on base?
That's too many numbers in a lot of those columns. I know that they're excited that they were able to rebound there in the 3rd inning to put a big 4 spot up on the board and change the tide, the kind of the momentum.
Boy,
tattooed right back at Lacatena on that one. And it's that rise ball, right? When a rise ball sits flat, it leaves you vulnerable for that hard hit ball. But I'm impressed that Lacatena is showing some leadership on the infield, turning around, talking to her defense after getting hit hard on that pitch.
The panel has been on time and on plane all day. Just sits back, drives from her backside. And anytime you hit a ball right back up the middle, you know you are on time. And she's been, really like her in that 2 spot this fall behind Fiedler, who's just, just dynamite in at the top of the order. That's a tough 1-2 punch.
And Panels had a ton of at-bats last season, hit just a tick under 300. So to be able to have that kind of bat in the 2 spot is so important for Tennessee.
Nice turn right there. And they get the double play. And that's the kind of defense that Rachel Lawson has been looking for, as Boo Gibson hit one hard and it turns into a 4-6-3 double play.
Well, you gotta love the way that the second baseman just gets this one, and a nice short throw over to the shortstop. And that's the textbook double play. I mean, that's the kind of defense that you'd expect out of these 2 programs that's been a little lacking this year, this game.
That was Maddie Clark, who was able to field that ball cleanly and quickly get it to second. And Reisner able to finish things off.
Well, just thinking of a lot of the mistakes we've seen. Yes, we've seen a couple throwing, receiving errors, but a lot of it starts, with the footwork, and defense starts with your feet. Feet number 1, and communication number 2, and then your hands. And a lot of people make the mistake of just reaching or lunging with their glove and their hands, and we've seen that quite a bit today. And it really starts with the feet.
A lot of Olay leaving the ball out wide of our feet and just kind of reaching with the leather, but that one she did get her belly behind it. You got to make sure that you can chest that ball up, because on a hard hit ball, you never know if it's going to take a hard last or a bump in the wrong direction. And because she got her feet in the right place, she was able to turn that nice little double play.
Lacatena misses upstairs and runs the count to 3-1. I don't know if we had a single 1-2-3 half inning tonight?
We did. It was actually the top, or Kentucky's first at bat, so the bottom of the first, we went 1-2-3.
And then there was an inning where somebody got a walk or a hit and then turned to double play, and so they only faced 3 hitters.
And that was 2 hours ago. So it's no wonder we can't remember. A lot, again, it's something you expect in the fall. Not the amount of mistakes we've seen, but certainly when you're switching pitchers every 2 innings, you're switching the defense every 2 innings, sometimes every 1 inning. It's just you're going to have a lot of those mistakes that really do get shored up by the time you hit February.
And plus the other deal is that, I mean, Jenny's somebody who's connected around this program, right? And we've seen nothing even remotely resembling Candy here in the booth.
I know. I'm a
That
little
is
disappointed
true.
in our delivery service.
And a flip to second, and the inning is over. Coming back. You won't want to miss this in a minute.
A fall game, the kids out there absolutely loved it. I can promise you her team's going to love that video later. I mean, she had the helmet on, she had the uniform on. I just love the commitment and the big smile on her face as she took her turn in the dunk tank.
And see, you bring up an excellent point, because even at my advanced age, I'm blessed to have an inquisitive mind.
Okay.
So you've got somebody that is sitting on a seat, right?
Yes.
And they're going to go down approximately 2.5 feet, right?
Yes.
And they're going to go down on their feet. So why does she have a helmet on?
I think it was just to wear the whole uniform because she was in an entire softball.
You think it
uniform.
was for aesthetics?
Yes, I do not think she was worried about hitting her head.
I agree with Jenny. She was just going all in.
She could have
and
kept
committing.
her visor on, right?
Well, but that's a special visor. Did you see how personalized it is today?
Yes, but I'm sure she's got 1,000, right?
Not that are personalized for Big Blue Boo.
Okay. Well, at least they got her out of there. And that ball's hit a bunch. Clark. Wow, and how about Fiedler? That's the 3rd play she has made in the outfield tonight. Wow. Clark came in and looked like she had a solo homer, and Fiedler could not have played that ball any better.
I mean, talk about making an immediate impact on campus for Tennessee. Fiedler for president right now. I mean, that right there. I mean, to be able to snag that ball over the wall, Tennessee was so worried about how they were going to replace Kiki Malloy, and Kinsey Fiedler has said, "Don't worry, I've got you," and Vol Nation is going to be able to rally behind that amazing player out there in center field.
I mean, I always write down if something's a wow play. Buzz has been using that terminology. I just write down wow. I have 3 wows on my sheet just with her because of her ability to just read the ball. And it's one thing to read the ball. That had home run written all over it once it left the bat. And she just read the ball so well. Textbook, getting her right hand, her non-glove hand, her throwing hand out to find the wall, timed her jump perfectly. I'll tell you what that does. That is a momentum lift for your team. Every time the ball gets hit to the outfield, as a pitcher, you trust it's going to be caught. And just watch right away, drop steps, gets her right hand out, times her jump perfectly, and fire your whole team up, Kinsey Fiedler, because you're firing us up here in the booth.
Well, and it's one thing to rob a home run when you're at home, when you've practiced against a wall, but you're on the road. So not only did you just snag a home run, but you were able to do it on the road, which shows that she's got composure on that track back to the wall, felt under her feet that she was at the warning track, put the hand out, tracked it right in.
Let me go ahead and take that one step further.
Yes.
Not only is she on the road, this is the first time she's ever played in this ballpark.
Correct.
I mean, as she came from Washington. So we've got a pitching change here. You see Tennessee up now 7-5, and it was a whisker away from being 7-6. So you've had 3-4 Tennessee pitcher, Panel, Mealer, Nugent. They've all gotten doubles. Ball's pitching has given up 4 walks. Kentucky's used 3 different pitchers, and this is now the 4th pitcher. Am I right about that? Why don't I just check instead of guessing? Yes, this will be the 3rd pitcher. Newer started, then Tanner came in, and now this is Sage Margetko.
And Sage Marjeko, she is no stranger to this field because she played a year ago at South Carolina. They played a 3-game series here, very comfortable within the league. There was a coaching change at South Carolina. She decided to go into the portal. Tennessee is very happy to have her. Just one of the liveliest wrists in the SEC. You're going to see a lot of spin from her, really all parts of the zone.
And she faces, with her first batter, the opposite number in Alexia Lakatena. That one missed inside. Lakatena. Blum. And the top of the order for the Wildcats.
Well, Lakatena has been one of those amoebas of a player. She's been able to play some defense over at third base in years past. She's been dominant and so important for them in the circle, but she has been able to swing a pretty good bat for Kentucky as well. So she's had to fill a ton of roles since stepping in as a Wildcat, and this year hoping to be a little bit more consistent at all 3 of those.
And when you have a pitcher who can hit, it just gives, as a head coach, it gives you so much flexibility with that DP flex position. You don't, if you have a pitcher and they absolutely do not hit, do not run bases, then you don't have quite as much creativity. You have some, but not a lot. But when you have a pitcher who can hit, there's a lot of ways you can use them in that DP flex position and running for them and then coming back out and going out on defense. And just love the versatility that Lakatena brings to this Wildcat team.
Full count pitch.
Well, Lakatena last season only had 3 at-bats, but the ability to put a bat in her hand is so important because you will come into situations where a pitcher does need to hit for themselves to open up offensive opportunities, to be able to find different matchups in your lineup to go against different pitchers as you go throughout a long season.
To the shortstop. And Mailer across the diamond. And they're 2 away. And here's left fielder Allie Blum. Singled back in the third. Actually hit twice in the third. Singled and then flew out to guess who? Fiedler in center field.
That was one of those wows next to it.
Yes,
on
it
that
was.
one as well.
Yep.
Well, Karen Weekly talked about how excited she was to have Sage Marjeko wearing that Lady Vol orange this year in the circle. And she can really spin the ball. She really throws 5 pitches, and there's not many pitchers who can throw 5 pitches. Most can throw 2 well, maybe 3. And for Marjeko, Karen Weekly paid her really, I thought, a very nice compliment and said, look, she throws the most pitches as a Lady Vol since Ellen Renfro. And Ellen Renfro, she truly had 5 different pitches as well. So this is just going to be a nice compliment in the circle, having the experience of last year in the SEC and then being able to use all those pitches. You know, as a pitcher, some days you just don't have your rise, you just don't have your drop, and when you have the repertoire of truly throwing 5 pitches, you can still get hitters out because you can spray the ball across the plate.
Well, and if you are that versatile, you then are a great reliever for almost anyone on your staff, because if you're able to spin the ball both north and south, east and west, you can come behind anyone else in that lineup to be successful.
Down to Gibson. And the Wildcats were on the verge of pulling within 1 to start this inning, but Kinsey Fielder had other ideas. Fiedler over the wall, and the lead remains at 2.
Out on the field when they put on those uniforms, so fun to see those little kid pictures to take us back to, you know, yesteryear. Get a little sentimental.
Gabby Leach leads things off. Oh, and we have another pitch. This is Fall, right? I believe that's right. This would be Carson Fall from Bridge City, Texas. Told, which is right there, kind of, if I remember this right, kind of like right on the border with Louisiana. Told she just pitched incredibly well the other night in a shutout win at Louisville. But this is our first chance to see her.
And that's one thing that Coach Lawson has done is she's challenged this team this fall. They played Louisville, they played Georgetown, they played now Tennessee. They did get rained out of a match earlier, or a game earlier this year, or earlier this fall. And you have to realize that those games have to fall within the weeks that you have scheduled for your fall practices to be within. And Carol, you're no stranger to the rules of softball, and to be able to get it all in the amount of time allotted is difficult at times depending on weather.
Well, no doubt about it. And you know, speaking of rules, it's something new this year that I think is just great. With the Rules Committee, worked very hard with them to make this change. A lot of times when the rules proposals would go out to coaches, it was in the middle of their season. And the last thing the idea was, well, you're in the middle of the season. What are you seeing that we need to change?
The ball is lifted to left near the track. Boy, and the wind just ate that up. And Mackenzie Bump is a really good player. But every place they have put her tonight, it's like that in the game, right? When you're having one of those nights, the ball will find you.
No doubt. And the thing that's hard for Mackenzie Bump is she has moved from the left side of the field to the right side of the field, back to the left side of the field. And the ball comes off the bat much differently depending on not only the batter. So there, as a left-handed batter, you've got so much spin coming off when you go oppo. And because of that, it tips off her glove. Left field seems to be that location for Kentucky that if something bad's going to happen, it's usually out in left field. And the problem is it causes a ton of problems.
And normally it's because of the sun.
Exactly.
Not a factor here.
No, that was just a left-handed batter with a ton of English off the bat, and it got away from Bump out there in left.
And you know, when you're in the outfield at a corner position with an opposite side hitter there, you know, the ball is always going to tail toward the line. You have to err on the side of going too far to the line, and that's exactly what happened there with Bump. It kept tailing away from her. To your point, Jenny, didn't get her glove around the outside of the ball and finds herself on third base.
And I feel bad for her because she honestly is a great defender. And over there at second base tonight, she was sitting back on the ball, but it's because she's typically a third baseman. And at third base, you don't necessarily charge, you don't necessarily pick your hop. And so at second base, she found herself playing it more like a third baseman. Also, when you change from the left side of the field to the right side of the field, the ball comes off much differently. And so the angles that you have to play are hard to read. And so I love her versatility, but right now she's needing to find a home so that she can start making those reads more effectively.
And do want to get both her and Hutch in the lineup.
Definitely, because both of their bats will be needed this year.
To the shortstop, Reesner. That's a nice play. Run scores, though, and Tennessee gets one back. And that'll make the score 8-5.
That's just good base running from Sophia Nugent at third base. She sees the angle down, ball goes right into the dirt, bounces past the pitcher, and that was a no-doubter to take off and score from third base. And that is vintage Tennessee. They are going to put the pressure on you. They're going to take that extra base. And although the ball wasn't hit hard, it scored a run, and that's exactly what Tennessee wanted to do.
Well, and I'm also impressed with the aggression of Reesner moving through that ball. If she sits back on that, there is too much speed going down the line. That would be safe all day, but because of how hard she charged that ball, it gave her an opportunity to not just pick the ball, but get the out.
Eight to 5. Here in the top of inning number 6. I believe that's, if I can see the number right, it's Amaya Doyle who is pinch hitting for Tennessee. Erin Weekly with a whole host of freshmen on her squad as well. And Fall not having the success so far that she had on Thursday night. And Bella Fall comes in to run at first base for Tennessee. So you've got Fall at first and Fall pitching for the Wildcats. And Ryan Brown stands in. Now time is called.
Well, this is the part of the game where I hope you're scoring with pencil, because there will be so many changes, knowing that both of these coaches want to get a ton of opportunities in for these young players to let them feel what it feels like to play in pressure situations, to wear the uniform, try to get those jitters out before they hit February with their feet running and needing to produce runs and defensive plays, because those games definitely count towards the end of the year.
Ball fouled straight back. I'm just thinking back. I think all the years I've done this, I mean, one of the most spontaneous things I've ever seen tonight was when Karen said, "Can I yell at the umpire?" Yes, you can.
Be your authentic self. That's what we want to see.
Well, it was very polite, you know?
No,
I mean,
it
it's just-
absolutely was. And Fall goes and gets Brown swinging. No, she was incredibly courteous about it.
Well, you know, she's got to get in season form, too. That's
Right.
what the fall's like for her.
Boy, that was a nice rise ball from Fall.
She's got good velocity. You know, this is Jenny's first look at her as well. We're going to see a lot of her this spring,
think
but
we will.
just the velocity she has, and that particular pitch got underneath it. No chance.
Gets Fiedler to ground to second on the first pitch. And the inning is over. Falls get one back. We head to the bottom of the sixth, and it's 8-5. She was looking for something to catch at that early age. She probably went up and over the baby gate that her parents had up. Right?
She practiced early.
That's exactly.
It's true.
Went up and over the crib.
Couldn't contain her even back then. Well, Buzz, do you have a costume that you remember wearing as a young child?
You know, Jenny, I was getting ready to ask that a second ago, you know, but back when I was that age, I was a little fat kid with a burr haircut. We didn't have shoes, walked barefoot to school, back and forth.
In the snow, uphill both ways.
Well, it was flat. And it did happen, though, because the elementary school was literally right across the street from my house. I'm trying to... I think we probably just did something like put some like shoe polish on her face or something, you know, or cut a hole in a pillowcase or something. I mean, it was really pretty rudimentary.
Well, and Carol, this week I saw on social media, Kentucky was asking their players, at what age did you stop trick-or-treating? Do you remember how old you were when you stopped trick-or-treating?
That is a great question. I do not remember. It was not 25, as I'm happy to report.
Wow.
But, you know, I'd have to say, you know, probably like, I got to think I was trick-or-treating through elementary school.
Oh,
I have to believe that. I have to believe that. But I would say probably junior high, you know, you get to that point where you're like too cool for it, but you really do want to do it, but you don't.
Well,
so
yeah,
what about you?
You want the stash.
You want the
candy.
stash. What about you?
I was the oldest of 4 kids, and so I feel like it became my job to take the kids trick-or-treating for a long time. Well, if you're taking them trick-or-treating, you might as well.
So hold on a second. So you went past.
I probably was.
You went past the
middle
age,
school.
and you're trying to lay it off on your younger siblings. that you had to be there to protect them.
Well, and free candy's free candy, let's be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
My favorite is, though, when my kids were little, they would get a Reese's peanut butter cup, and they would turn around and say, Mom, I got you a Reese's peanut butter cup. I'm like, thank you. Please don't announce that. Just say thank you to the people and walk away, because now I'm embarrassed.
Jenny, tell us about your grandchildren and what they are for Halloween.
Oh,
Did she just out you as a grandmother?
Well, she's a proud one. She is a proud one. It should be. They're adorable.
They
I'm
are
a terribly
adorable.
old grandma. I'm a pretty young grandma.
Yeah, you're a hip.
But I've got 2 fake ones, right? 2
Yeah.
fake hips. But when it comes to being a grandma, I am proud of my little Rhett, who's 1, and he's going to be a bat this year. And little Hadley, who's 7 months old, is going to be an aerobics instructor. So she's got a onesie and some tight
Now
black little leggings. Pretty cute.
I have a question about the bat. It is a bat like you would
No,
swing,
like a
or a
flying
bat
bat.
like in the outfield out there, like
Yeah,
a
like
Halloween bat.
Like a flying bat.
All right.
So that is what I'm told. I have yet to receive those pictures. They will go trick-or-treating with everybody else, but they are out west, so I miss them. But we will. FaceTime is pretty cool. I think every grandparent around
Yeah.
the world is grateful for that advancement in technology.
What I do now is I trade kids. I mean, I'll see what they've got in their bucket or something and ask if they want to trade for like a full bar.
Ooh, that's a smart idea.
Right?
I will admit on air that when my kids were little and they went to school, their trick-or-treat buckets were 100% game for me. I would ravage those things.
There's
when
no
they were
question. So do you give out the full candy bar now?
This year, if you would like a full candy bar, come to my house. We'll be giving out
Let's go.
king-size Reese's peanut butter cups.
Oh yeah,
Let's
I go
go.
all out too with the handing out.
Yep. Now, I'm not handing out my address. You're going to have to do some
No.
detective work. But that is what will be handed out at our house this
You
year.
can DM me if you want. I'll let you know where.
I'll save you a box.
Emmert.
How many trick-or-treaters do you get that come by your house?
Oh.
A lot. A lot. I obviously don't live here in Lexington. I live in Louisville. I live on the east side of Louisville. But yeah, a lot. The only rule I have is, when they come up, whoever they are, whatever size they are, whatever age they are, and clearly some of the parents in the back with the may or may not have adult beverages. They may have apple cider, but I'm thinking they have adult beverages over there.
Gotta get through it anyway.
I like to have a conversation a little bit, like instead of just coming and shoving the little jack-o'-lantern for what's your outfit? Tell me about your outfit, or what'd you do today, or I like to have a little conversation. But
Man,
I
you
have a
earn
lot.
it? You
I have
make
a lot.
them earn it?
I do, 100%. It's a coach in me.
I know. Okay. So how many bags of candy are you going to have to buy?
I'm saying, the Halloween size, the jumbo size. I'm saying at least probably 6.
Wow,
Yeah,
that's
quite a
ton
few.
of trick-or-treat.
Yeah. Now I'm generous. I don't give them 1. I probably give them like 2 or 3. I have to admit.
You got to understand, though, it's
2 or 3.
It's one of those high-end East End Jefferson County
Right.
neighborhoods,
Right.
and kids know that they're not going there to get some Super Joe bubble gum.
It's true.
They know they're getting the good stuff.
No dum-dum suckers there.
Man, Tennessee with the good stuff there as they shut down the Cats. We head to the top of the 7th in a 3-run game. Challenging ladies, right?
Yeah, I think if you had to pick between Kentucky or Tennessee's schedule, there is no chance I would take Tennessee's. I would take Kentucky's all day long. They get a bye against Oklahoma. They do not have to play them. And then there's some really big hitters in that group as well that they do not have to face this season. Granted, there are no easy games in SEC play, but they definitely have an easier schedule than Tennessee this year.
Wow, and how about that hard hop? And what about Panel having a night? 5 for 5. That would be her 4th single to go along with an RBI double.
I mean, and that's exactly what you're trying to do. Late in the game, don't let anything happen when you've got a new pitcher in the circle. Welcome her to the game by putting yourself on. Gets a lucky hop over the third baseman's head. Hutchins and starts the inning off for the Vols in the right way.
This is Julie Kelly who's on to pitch the 7th for the Cats. And that's not the way she wanted to start. And Kentucky a little late getting to that ball. And that's going to be one of those teachable moments on the tape right there.
Oh, for sure. And not only did that ball hit the dirt prematurely, but it wore a lot of the umpire, which I would have thought would have helped Kentucky by keeping the ball close to the catcher. But it got a little lost, and there's aggression on the bases. As panel says, well, that's okay. I'll give you a little hesitation step and then be aggressive over there to third. And you like to see that on the base pass, always looking to gain 60 feet.
Do you think she was trying to deke?
No.
Or do you think she actually held up and then saw what happened and said, okay, let's go?
Yeah, it was a recognition play for sure.
Rachel Lawson walking back to the dugout. I don't know why, but it looks like she's got a completely new outfit on.
And wet hair, what's up with that?
Right? I mean, how does that happen?
Wendell Bell.
I got to give him credit now. It looked like he was chucking it pretty good. He didn't make contact. Here it is again.
I mean, full uniform. Look at that. Full uniform.
I still don't understand
with
the helmet.
But that was actually the one thing that she was so worried about tonight. It wasn't the game, it wasn't the lineup, it wasn't the crowd, it wasn't the blow-ups, it wasn't anything other than the dunk tank, because she cannot swim and was so worried about that moment.
Boy, and there's another flare, and that's just inside the line. And that'll be an RBI single for Boo Gibson. That's her second hit of the night. Her second RBI.
Well, and what you're seeing is this top of the lineup finding ways to get on. Right now, those balls just have eyes, finding their way inside the fair line or the foul line. And for Tennessee, you love to see this response against a new pitcher in the circle who they are not familiar with.
And the importance of taking that extra base. I mean, more than likely, you're not going to score from second base on that, but that's where every base matters. And being aggressive, not stopping yourself as a base runner, forcing the defense to stop you by getting all the way to third base. For Panel, she's able to score on that and get another run on the board.
And Laura Mailer now stands in with still nobody out here in the top half of inning number 7.
Carol, there's a lot of times in the fall you don't see consistency from the fall to the spring in terms of lineup, but I think these first 4 hitters for Tennessee are going to stick. The way that they've been able to be productive, aggressive. I like the way that they approach the game, especially with Fiedler leading things off there at the top of the lineup. But the way that these 1, 2, 3, 4 have been able to show up tonight for Tennessee, I think you may see this as their 1 through 4 lineup in the spring.
Yeah, and that's the goal. Stack your best hitters together and give them the most at-bats you can. And you're just looking for combinations there. And, you can, if you're the leadoff batter or you're the 9 batter consistently through the season, the leadoff batter can get 60 to 70 more at-bats a game. Well, of course you want them, in that position. And then same thing with a 2, 3, 4 batter. It's amazing what a difference it can make. And you're right, the performance we've seen tonight from these top 4 hitters, just making things happen. They're tough outs, drawing walks, hitting the ball with power, able to steal some bases. Just an impressive night for the top part of the Lady Vol offense.
Tenth walk of the game, Daniel Gibbons tells us, as he keeps his impeccable numbers. So we've had a total, let me see, 14 runs, 16 hits, 19 runners left on base, double-digit walks, and 9 errors between the 2 teams.
Now, Buzz, when I took this job, I didn't think there'd be this kind of math taking place in the booth.
Well, still, I mean, small double digits, or else I wouldn't be able to gonkulate them.
Yeah, definitely not what you will see in the spring. These defenses will be shored up. The pitchers will be a little bit more accurate with their locations. I think you'll see more change-ups being thrown in the spring. Right now, they are really going at these hitters with location rather than change of speed. But I can't harp on enough how important it is to have a change-up in your arsenal, because when your other pitches aren't working, you can get a hitter with a disruption of timing,
right,
even if you're missing your spots with your location pitches.
Squares to bunt, and it's a good one. Sacrifice works. Gibson goes to third. Mailer to second as Nugent gives herself up. 2 more Lady Vols into scoring position with just 1 out. And it looks like be another pinch hitter. I believe that is 10 Alana Leach, who steps in to hit from the left side.
The other thing with the pitchers, and Jenny, you said it, just, you know, they're going to throw a few more strikes, a few more moving pitches, a few off-speed pitches, but a lot of times what coaches will do going into a game or into a series, like, hey, you're the starter today. You're on first relief and you're on long relief, you know, so to speak, closer almost. And so going into a game, you know that. You know how to prepare. You know, you may not warm up a lot at the beginning of the game, but when the game starts, now you go into full mode because you're the short relief. And when it comes to fall softball, you're just trying to get every pitcher out there and to work with different catchers to make sure they get comfortable and know what they need to work on in the off season. And we've seen, gosh, I believe all 5 pitchers now for Kentucky, and you know, we're in the 7th inning, so that means it's hard to get into a rhythm, and you never really know when you're going to go in. You know you're going to go in at some point, so a little bit of that is rhythm as well for the pitchers.
And the base hit the opposite way. Leach, aggressive on the base pass, goes into second. Gibson scores, and the lead is 10-5.
Well, and this is just an inside-out swing, pushing the ball the other way in a big 5-6 hole that Kentucky leaves open for Tennessee. Textbook hitting to be able to keep her hands inside that ball and push it into the gap to score another run.
And the base running, I just keep going back to Tennessee's base running. They're going to take the extra base if you give it to them. I would have liked to seen that ball go to the third baseman, Hutchins, and cut the...
And scores from third. Leach advances to third. And the Vols now have an 11-5 lead.
You know, I think one of the things I'm most impressed with, if my very crazy lineup card is accurate, is Tennessee has very, very few strikeouts. I mean, they are putting the ball in play, forcing Kentucky to make decisions. With their base running, they're able to score on plays like that, a sac fly, whatever it might be. It's just, you know, their ability to put the ball in play and battle. And again, it goes back to, we talked about at the beginning of the broadcast quite a while ago with Craig Snyder, the new hitting coach. That is a very important approach to his work, not always going for the long ball, just taking what the defense is giving you. What does the situation call for? We need the ball to the outfield. We've got to run at third, less than 2 outs, being able to practice that. And we've seen Tennessee execute that well today.
I've got Tennessee with 4 strikeouts. Kentucky has struck out 5 times.
And to that point, Carol, it comes down to knowing what a pitcher's going to throw. And when you face freshmen in the fall, you may not know, which makes it difficult in approach.
And that liner will end the top half of the 7th, but not before the Vols get 3 on 3 hits. They leave 1. Cats trail 11-5, heading to the 7th.
The night was absolutely perfect. Huge crowd, great energy, 2 fabulous opponents as they try to close out the fall and head into a very exciting spring.
There were many regular season games last year that were not as good as this one weather-wise.
And both of these teams are going to open the season in Clearwater, Florida at the NFCA Leadoff Classic. I'll have the pleasure of being down there as well, and just an outstanding field there that both of these teams will be competing against. Some other SEC schools, Mizzou for sure, and Northwestern, just an annual NCAA regional team. Duke, who went to the World Series a year ago, so it's going to be a great event, and that's where both of these teams will open up.
Are you calling some of those games again this year? No?
Well, I don't know. Last year we had the pleasure of broadcasting a couple on MLB Network, and those conversations are ongoing. So potentially, more than likely, one of the biggest matchups that is going to be exciting at this particular tournament. And there you get a look at Kentucky's schedule. They're going to be playing Pitt and Notre Dame, and Morgan State, Southern Miss, Iowa. We have 2 HBCU schools in the event. That is intentional. A lot of the HBCU schools do not get to play in a tournament of that prestige and magnitude, so we always want to make that happen. It costs them nothing to come to that, so we're very excited about that as well. But should be a lot of fun, and I think another reason to watch that particular tournament just so happens that two of the best pitchers in the country, Jordy Ball and Nyjah Kennedy, their teams will also be there, and they do match up against each other, so that might be a fun one to tune into.
Yeah, you don't say, right? To be able to see how that all plays out. Everybody was pretty devastated last year when Jordy Ball tore ACL the first time she took the field for Nebraska. So excited to see the way that she has rehabbed and come back hopefully even stronger.
With one down, here's Carissa Hamilton. Do you need a couple of temporary NFCA staffers?
We do.
For that
we
weekend?
do. Are you for hire? We are always looking for more help. If you've been down to Clearwater, the following weekend is ESPN's signature tournament. We work together with them on sharing some things facility-wise to make both of those events happen. But that particular venue is a city block long. There's 4 fields and then 3 fields and then 2 fields, so it's very spread out. So we do indeed, Buzz.
There you go. Let's go.
Looking for hired help.
Let's go.
Wow, she said hired, not volunteer. So I think.
Oh, I heard the word.
I heard it.
I heard the word.
And it's not for candy. Even though there has been 0 candy
None.
in this booth tonight, I am just very disappointed in the deputy athletic director at Kentucky.
I don't think.
Do you know that guy?
I don't think the SWA would have let that happen. Do you?
No, I think that if we had Rachel Baker anywhere near this facility, she would have brought us Reese's Peanut Butter Cups up to the booth.
She was probably out somewhere today. Her kids were either playing travel softball or travel basketball, right?
It's true. She's in the thick of it.
Majetko with a 1-2 pitch. And she struck out the first 2 here in the 7th. And the Wildcats down to their final out.
That's what makes Majetko so much fun. She doesn't overpower you with her speed. She's not going to hit 70, even 68 in the upper 60s. She throws mid-60s, but it is the spin on the ball. You can see the revolutions. Very tough as a hitter to catch up with that.
And that first pitch to Maddie Clark is fouled back. I think somebody just reminded Fiedler that she took her to the wall last time. She just backed up about 5 or 6 feet.
She's got to challenge herself. She can't make it
Right.
always look that good.
I get it.
I'm just grateful for the friendship that both Rachel Lawson and Karen Weekly have with one another to be able to make this event happen in the
Yes.
fall, to see this kind of softball so far before everybody else across the country is able to play SEC softball. We're able to see a pretty quality matchup. Now, it hasn't been a clean ball game. It hasn't been one that either of them is going to be proud of. They're going to go back, watch a lot of film, and hammer out and iron out some of these miscues that they've had all game long. But so important to have this kind of caliber game to be able to go back to the drawing board and shore things up for the spring.
The ball is lifted to short right field, and this one is over. So for the Wildcats here tonight, for let's go with Tennessee first. The Vols get 11 runs, 13 hits, 2 errors. They leave 12 on base. And Kentucky, 5 runs, 4 hits, 7 errors. They leave 8. Ladies, your thoughts?
Happy Halloween, definitely a treat and not a trick that we were able to see it here tonight. But have a safe Halloween. These two teams excited to see them this spring.
You went there. Carol?
I think that to have an SEC matchup in the fall is really going to help both of these teams prepare. This is the last game of the fall for both teams, but most importantly, what an amazing event. So glad that 2,000 people got to enjoy it here in person, and all of you listening at home.
Thank you all for joining us. For my broadcast partners, Jenny Dalton Hill, Carol Bruggeman, our producer, Daniel Gibbons, I'm Dave Baker. So long from John Crop Stadium, where the Lady Vols beat the Wildcats